Welcome back to Timeless Messages from the Ching. This is Stephen. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're doing well. So the general reading for today is what are the most beneficial messages for the viewers at the time they find this video. Whether that's in 2 months from posting, 2 days, 2 years, it doesn't matter. You've been guided here by your higher self, your angels, your spirit guides, and for that there's a reason. So the question again, what are the most beneficial messages for the viewers at the time that they find this video? And the hexagrams that came up were number 3, difficulty at the beginning, and number 36, darkening of the light. So without further ado, please, if you can, rest your eyes and take a few deep breaths, and I'll get started. The name of the hexagram, difficulty at the beginning, really means a blade of grass that is pushing up against an obstacle as it sprouts out of the earth. Hence the meaning, difficulty at the beginning. This hexagram indicates the way in which heaven and earth bring forth individual beings. It is their first meeting, which is beset with difficulties. The lower trigram Chen is the arousing, thunder. Its motion is upward, and its image is thunder. The upper trigram Kan, or Kan, stands for the abysmal, the dangerous, and its motion is downward, and its image is rain. The situation points to chaotic profusion. Thunder and rain fill the air, but the chaos clears up. While the abysmal sinks, the upward movement eventually passes beyond the danger of the lower trigram Chen. A thunderstorm brings release from tension, and all things breathe freely again. So the time that you find yourself in, like a blade of grass trying to push up against an obstacle as it sprouts out of the earth. Difficulty at the beginning. The judgment, difficulty at the beginning, works supreme success, furthering through perseverance. Nothing should be undertaken, and it furthers one to appoint helpers. Times of growth are characterized with difficulties. They resemble a first birth. But these difficulties arise from the very abundance of all that is struggling to attain form. Everything is in motion. Therefore, if a person perseveres, there is a prospect of great success in spite of the existing danger. When it is a person's fate to undertake such a new beginning, everything is still unformed and dark. Hence, this person must hold back, because any premature move might bring disaster. Likewise, it's very important not to remain alone. In order to overcome the chaos, we need helpers. This is not to say, however, that we should look on passively at what is happening. We must lend our hand and participate with inspiration and guidance. So the council here recommends not engaging in any premature move, for this might bring disaster. Also looking for helpers that could be beneficial to the project or the process that you find yourself in, but also lending your own hand as well, not sitting back and let others do for you what you need to do as well. For it's important to lend your own hand and participate with creativity, inspiration, and guidance. The image, clouds and thunder, the image of difficulty at the beginning. Thus, the superior person brings order out of confusion. Clouds and thunder are represented by definite decorative lines. This means that in the chaos of difficulty at the beginning, order is already indicated in the whole situation. So too, the superior person has to arrange and organize the abundance of such times of beginning, just as a person sorts out a tangle of silk threads or a tangle of yarn into a ball of yarn or a ball of threads. So, in order to find one's place in the infinity of being, a person must be able both to unite and to separate. So here we have the image of threads and yarn being organized. They are in a tangled mass, but the superior person, in working through this difficulty at the beginning, removes this tangled mass and rolls the yarn or the threads into a ball that's organized and can be used. Similarly, it also mentions a deeper connotation in which a person must understand if this is a time to unite with someone or something, or is this a time to keep separate? Because both are very important. Just like separating threads or yarn and uniting them into a ball that's more organized. So the changing lines, 6 in the third place. 6 in the third place means whoever hunts deer without the forester only loses their way in the forest. The superior person understands the signs of the time and prefers to desist. To go on brings humiliation. So the superior person is understanding the signs of the time. To desist, they prefer to desist. What does that mean, desist? It means to cease or abstain. For to go on will only bring humiliation. So if a person tries to hunt in a strange forest and has no guide, they lose their way. When they find themselves in difficulties, they must not try to secretly leave the place or situation without thinking and without guidance. For fate cannot be fooled. Any premature effort without the necessary guidance will end in failure and disgrace. Therefore, the superior person, understanding the seeds of coming events, prefers to let go of a wish rather than to provide failure or provoke failure and humiliation by trying to force that wish's fulfillment. So this changing line is very profound because the person finds themselves in an area of forest and they don't have the forester to guide them when they're hunting deer, and they lose their way. Similarly, the forester could be thought of as your higher self or your creator, your angels, your spirit guides, someone who is very intelligent about how to proceed. And when this person finds themselves in difficulties, they shouldn't try to escape these difficulties, this situation, this place, in a secret fashion without thinking and without guidance, because fate, or whatever is in store for us, cannot be fooled. And premature effort, if we engage in premature effort, which is undertaking something before the right time, and without the necessary guidance of our higher self, our creator, our angels, our spirit guides, this will only end in failure and disgrace. So finally it says that the superior person discerns the seeds of coming events. So the superior person is able to see the future on some level. They're able to go within and see little bits and pieces of how things might unfold, and they allow themselves to gather that guidance, gather those seeds, understand those seeds of coming events, and not pretend that they can't see what may be coming if they choose certain decisions. And therefore, if they have a wish, they're going to prefer to let that wish go rather than to provoke failure and humiliation by trying to force that wish's fulfillment. Perhaps you have something in your mind right now. You'd like to have a certain outcome. But maybe the idea that's being expressed here is this could be premature. If you act prematurely in regards to this wish and trying to make this come to fulfillment, this could end in failure and disgrace. Do you see that these seeds of coming events are going to pan out positively? Or is there a sense inside you that these seeds of coming events might actually not work out so beneficially or enjoyably? And if so, it's important to pay attention to those. And if so, then perhaps letting go of that wish is a wise thing, rather than trying to force its fulfillment. And the final changing line, the 9 in the 5th position, means difficulties and blessing. A little perseverance brings good fortune. Great perseverance brings misfortune. An individual is in a position in which they cannot so express their good intentions that they will actually take shape and be understood. The time suggests that they're not in a position that they can express their good intentions so that they'll actually take shape and be understood, because other people have gotten in between and distorted everything that they try to do. This person should then be cautious and proceed in a step-by-step manner. They shouldn't try to force the consummation or the completion or finalization of a great undertaking. because success is possible only when general confidence already prevails. And that confidence is not here in this particular moment because there are other people inserting themselves, and also you're in a position in which you cannot express your good intentions so that they will actually take shape and be understood. So don't try to force the completion or the finalization of a great undertaking, because that success will not be there. It only will be there if you have the general confidence that already is prevailing, and that's not here in this particular moment. So it's only through faithful and conscientious, or being very attentive to detail, this type of work, being faithful to your work and being conscientious to your work, and unobtrusively carrying on this work, which means unobtrusively means that you are not attracting attention in the work that you're doing and the activity that you're doing. So that if you can do this, if you can be faithful and conscientious and not attract attention in your work and carry on with the work, then the situation will gradually clear up and the obstacle and hindrance will disappear. So this does paint the idea of a difficulty at the beginning. You're in a position where you can't express your good intentions in a way that they'll actually take shape and be understood. And other people are inserting themselves and distorting everything that you're trying to do. This may be on a large level, or it could be on a very moderate level. Depends on your situation. So it's very important to be cautious and proceed in a gradual, step-by-step manner. And don't try to force things to reach finalization or completion if you're working on a great project, because the confidence just isn't there for that to happen. You have to just take things slow and easy and be faithful and conscientious in the work that you're doing. Don't try to attract attention to it. Kind of keep under the radar, so to speak, and the situation will gradually clear up, and those people that are interposing or getting in the way of everything and distorting things will disappear, and you'll be able to express your good intentions so that they can take shape and be understood, and the hindrances will disappear. Moving on to the second hexagram, darkening of the light. Here the sun has sunk under the earth and is therefore darkened. The sun would be the lower trigram, the clinging fire, the earth above. The name of the hexagram literally means wounding of the bright, and hence the individual lines contain frequent references to wounding. The situation is the exact opposite of that in the previous hexagram, which is progress. So this is the opposite of progress. In progress, a wise person is at the head of affairs and has able helpers, and in the company of these helpers makes progress. Here, a person of dark nature is in a position of authority and brings harm to the wise and able person. So here in darkening of the light, there's an image of a person or a situation of dark nature being in a position of authority, and they bring harm to the wise and able person. The judgment, darkening of the light. In adversity, it furthers one to be persevering. A person shouldn't let themselves be swept along by unfavorable circumstances without resistance, nor should they permit their steadfastness to be shaken. A person can avoid this by maintaining their inner light, while remaining outwardly yielding and flexible. And with this attitude, they can overcome even the greatest adversities. In some situations, a person must hide their light in order to make their will prevail in spite of difficulties in the immediate environment. Perseverance must dwell in the inner consciousness and should not be seen or discernible from without. Only in this way is a person able to maintain their will in the face of difficulties. So the guidance is to not let yourself be swept along by unfavorable circumstances, and to maintain your inner light. Meditation and introspection are good processes right now. Perhaps some chanting, perhaps some deep relaxation, visualization. Try to remain outwardly yielding and flexible and strong within. And with this attitude, you can overcome the greatest adversities. So your perseverance has to be deep within you and should not be observable or understandable from outside by others. And in this way, you can veil your light, protect yourself, and maintain your will in the face of these difficulties. Remembering that this is simply a time that happens to be occurring right now. It's not going to last forever. So the proper way to proceed is the way that the description advises. So the image, the light has sunk into the earth, the image of darkening of the light. Thus does the superior person live with the great mass of humanity. The superior person veils their light, yet still shines. In a time of darkness, it's essential to be cautious and reserved. A person should not needlessly awaken overwhelming hostility by being inconsiderate. In such times, a person shouldn't fall in with the practices of others. Don't be like others. And neither should you drag them censoriously into the light. What does that mean, censoriously? You shouldn't drag them with a lot of excessive criticism into the light. Oh, you're like this, and humiliate them in that type of a fashion. Don't do that. Let that go. And in social interaction, you should try not to be all-knowing. A person should let many things pass without being fooled. So in this particular time of darkening of the light, we have the idea of someone or some situation being in the midst of your situation, and this person or this particular situation you find yourself in is in a position of authority, and they try to bring harm to the wise and able person. You are the wise and able person. You shouldn't be allowing yourself to be swept along by unfavorable circumstances, but you have to maintain your inner light by remaining outwardly yielding and flexible. But you have to maintain an inner strength. Okay, there's a lot of different things that you could do: yoga, meditation, chanting, deep relaxation, breathing techniques to help connect with that inner light, because it's that inner light and that inner strength that you should maintain so you can overcome even the greatest challenges and adversities. And in this situation, it may be very important for you to hide this light from others so that you can make your will prevail without them noticing. This perseverance, this inner light has to be strengthened and also has to be veiled so that you can maintain your perseverance, your strength of will, even in the face of difficulties. And this dark person in a position of authority will not be able to see your perseverance and will not be able to counteract your ability to move forward. So in the final paragraph, also it recommends it's essential to be cautious and reserved. You don't want to come across to others in a way that's going to make them feel hostile. Very important at this time. And you shouldn't be like others right now. Don't fall in with their practices. Be yourself. Be your own unique self. But remember to veil that light of yours to a certain degree so that you don't attract any type of negative influences from others. Also, do not drag people into the light. You notice something about someone and you don't want to be excessively critical of others and bring their bad habits or their bad behavior, their bad words, their bad actions, to the forefront. Let it pass, because you may see a lot of things during this time, but try not to come across in an all-knowing way, nor try to drag other people into the light. Even though you see these things about these people, try to just, see them, but try not to act on them. Let them pass without being fooled. And that's the superior person's way, the sage's way, to see many things, but to not get attached to bringing those things to others' awareness, because oftentimes those people are not in a position that they want to hear certain things, especially if that person or those persons happen to be of a dark nature and in a position of authority. They could create some sort of difficulties in your own life. So that's what I have for you today. I would listen to this reading once more and jot down the most important messages and try to incorporate these into your life over the next days and weeks if you can. Pay attention to that being of dark nature. Pay attention to veiling your light. Be persevering, attuned to the inner strength, and remember that even if you have difficulty at the beginning, you'll be able to push through just like a blade of grass, moving through up into the sunlight through the ground, barrier of the ground, the earth. And according to the first hexagram difficulty at the beginning, be willing to let go of a particular wish if you see seeds of coming events that will be less than positive, and if you can, let go of that wish so that you can avoid failure and humiliation rather than trying to force its fulfillment. And in the final line of the first hexagram difficulty at the beginning, you're in a position in which you can't express your good intentions in a way that will allow them to take shape and be understood, because there are other people that are interjecting themselves and distorting everything you're trying to do. This is very much hearkening to the second hexagram of that person and of a dark nature being in a position of authority trying to thwart you. So you have to be cautious and proceed step by step. Both of these hexagrams are very similar in terms of their recommendations of being cautious, being attentive to the details, being faithful, and continuing to carry on with your work, and veiling your light, and gradually things will clear up and the obstacles and hindrances will disappear. Because right now, this particular time, there's not enough general confidence that's prevailing to allow you to have the finalization or the completion of a great undertaking and realize that success. Knowing that this is the case, why not proceed in a step-by-step fashion? Veil your light, ask for helpers, lend your hand as well, and proceed in a way that will not attract negative attention from others. Just keep your nose to the grindstone and you'll be able to get through this time. So thanks for tuning in. I would again listen to this message once more and try to incorporate these ideas. They're very relevant. And thanks for tuning in. Take care.